Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Um, Welcome to Beema's Crafty Corner. I am Beema, better known as Els, and I have this kit that I bought from the paper studio, and I bought it because I wanted one of the papers that was in here, which was this one that I wanted to use to cover my bee journal. But it comes with all this other stuff. There's a sheet of stickers in here. There's some alphas. There's some die cut shapes and a lot of other papers. And so I thought I'm going to make something out of these. And I don't know what the heck I'm going to make, but I'm going to make something out of these. So I started looking around in my stash to see what I had. And I realized I had some self-laminating paper, some self-laminating sheets, cold laminators. And then I had all this stuff. And I had a lot of scraps left over of pieces of file folder. So I said, what can I do with all of this? Well, I know what I can do with it. I'm going to do some bookmarks. So I'm going to get all that stuff pulled out, and I'll be back with a supply list and a tool list, and we'll get started. I'll be right back. So let's take a look at what we're going to need. Glue, ink and a dauber if you want it. Some way to cut your corners. I have this corner rounder that actually cuts the corners for me, docks the corners. The paper from that paper kit, the ephemera pack. I'm even going to use the letters, I think. And of course the sticker sheet. Then you're going to want some scraps of either heavy cardstock or file folders in whatever colors you want. A paper trimmer that's going to handle your 12 by 12 or whatever size paper you're using. And some of these self-adhesive laminating sheets. These are made by a lot of places. 3M makes them. But, you basically just open them, put in what you want, take this part off, and then just fold it over, and it laminates it right away. So you don't need a laminating machine. If you have one, by all means use it. I'm going to get this mess off my desk, and we're going to get started just cutting some bookmark bases. I'll be right back. All right, so to cut the bases, I recommend usually about 2 inches. That's a pretty good size bookmark, about 2 inches wide. And I'm not real worried about, this, because I'm going to cover this anyway. And then size, I don't like them to be longer than, like 8.5 inches, because I'm going to put them in a journal. So I'm going to take a 1/2 inch off of this one, because it's 9 inches. So we're just going to take a 1/2 inch off. So I'm just going to kind of do that for all of these. I'm just going to open up these pieces. And then I'm going to get rid of these little docked edges. Take these to about 2.5 inches, all of them. And that, to me, is a good size bookmark. Now see, this is kind of a heavy piece, so I'm just going to get rid of it. Get rid of it. This one, well, this one's almost 2.5, so we'll do this one at 2.5. Just straighten it up there. Okay. A little piece there at the top. That's going to come off when I do the corners. And this one. Let's take the bottom off of here. And that's just taking off that folded piece. Might be time to put a new blade in. And then I'm going to cut these to about 2.5, I think. That would be good for these. Now this is a really simple project that you can do. If you have a book club or something like that, maybe for Christmas, you could make custom ones for all your friends and your book club. Or I'm going to do these at 2 1/4. Why not, right? They're ours. We can do that. Now, you could also use the same technique to make like tall, skinny tags. They don't have to be bookmarks. But I like a bookmark. And I'm a book person. I like a tactile book, like where I can touch it. So having an actual bookmark that I can play with and move around is another good thing. The next thing I'll do is I'll dock all my corners. Now you can use a jig for this if you have a jig to do it. A lot of people have, the credit card where, they've cut their angles on a plastic gift card or credit card, and they like to use that. I'm not worried about if these have writing on the back of them, like that ink stamp, because I'm going to cover them anyway. So we're just going to do this part, and then that is going to set us up for our bookmarks. And they're all ready to go. So I'm going to get out all my stuff, and we'll get started. This is a simple, easy project. This is a fun one, okay? I'll be back. So I'm going to start by cutting my cover papers for these. And I know that this one is 2 inches, so I'm going to cut it at 1 3/4. And I'm going to mind my direction on my paper. So 1 3/4 for that one. And I do need one for the other side, so 1 3/4 for that one. I could use a different paper on the other side if I want. It's entirely up to me, or up to you. And then I'm going to look at my length, which on this one is 8.5. So I want this to be 8 1/4. They don't make that easy, huh? You know? So we're going to put this in at 8 1/4 right there. And I'm going to take this piece off. I'm going to keep that though, because that's good stuff. And then I'm going to put these together because I'm going to be making a lot. And I think we'll do another one like this, but with the lighter cardstock. And this one is 2.5. So we're going to do this one at 2 1/4. And 1/4. And it is use our ruler on here. It is 8.5 inches tall, so we're going to go 8 1/4. That is the second one. And I'm just going to kind of do this going through all the different papers that I have here, like this one. And this one, and I'm just going to go ahead and go through all of these until I have covers for all of these cut, okay? And then I'll be back. All right, so once you cut all your paper, you're going to dock those corners as well at the same angle that you used for each of your tags. And then we're going to ink. We're going to ink the bases. We're going to ink the covers. We're just going to have a good old time inking our full heads off. So I'm going to go ahead and dock all of these. And when I'm done docking all of these, I'm going to ink. And then when I come back, I'm going to glue these down. And we'll move on to the next part of this, which is putting a little bit of decorating on here and talking about what kind of decorating we can put on here and still be able to laminate these little bookmarks, okay? So go dock your corners and ink your stuff and then come, start the video back up. All right? All right, so these are all inked. Don't forget to ink both sides of your tag, too, because you're going to be putting stuff on both sides. So these are all inked, and so I'm just going to glue these on. I need this one. I left a little more on it than I did on some of the others. I've done all the other ones up. So I'm just going to finish gluing these last two. And then, from here, we're going to do a little decorating. And then we're going to do a little laminating. Okay? So as I said, this would make a great, quick gift for maybe a book club or something like that. And, maybe you want to donate some to the library. or a senior center. But what a great little, way of customizing something for somebody. If you're doing it for like a book club, you could do it based on the book that you're currently reading. Or if somebody's like a horror fan or a mystery fan, you could do it that way. So kind of a neat little thing to do, and it would work in any book. All right, so now we have all of them done. I did all these ahead. So now the next part of this is doing a little decorating. And we have all of this stuff. Now, I have looked at this, and they're a little thick. A little thicker than I would like, but still workable. So let's kind of take a look at what we have here. Obviously, we don't want the frames. Let's see. All right, I'm going to skip these because I think they're a little too thick, and they're kind of a little big for this. We'll use those on something else. But what we do have that we can use are these. So let's get this open. Get it out of this bag. Oh, cool. They're clear. I like clear, and that makes them thin. All right, so let's kind of look at what we have and see what we want to use. Now, I like this pen, and I think it goes pretty good on this. And let's see, maybe this pocket watch would work on here. Now, you don't have to decorate both sides if you don't want to. You could decorate just one side, maybe put their name on the back or something like that. So I'm going to concentrate just kind of on one side. I have a postage stamp. I'm going to put it right there. And let's see. We have this red rose. If we can get it off of here. There we go. Let's put it right there. Now you could also stamp. If you have some stamps, you could do some stamping on here if you want. We'll do a little of that too. Do. I like the typewriter. I think that would be cool. Ooh, you know what would be really cool? Since we have all that on there, maybe these books. Right there. Those are cool. Okay. This needs a little something more. We're not going to obviously do all of these, but there. All right, so I'm going to get out some stamps because I do want to do some stamping. So I'm going to get out some stamps, and we're going to do some stamps on some of these, and then we'll laminate. I'll be back. All right, so I have stamps out and my blocks. And let's see. I like this one too. That one. And maybe this one. Do. Okay, So I have out my Memento, and when you're doing stamping, you want a block that fits the stamp, and you just want to let them relax for a second, okay? So we're going to see if we can, see, that's not going to fit. I need a longer one. I would rather that the block be longer than too small. Okay? So I'm going to let it relax for a minute on the board, and then I'm going to pick it up. Okay? Because when you pull it off, it stretches, you know? And we're also going to get out our stamping method. Here it is. Put that down. Because this is an acrylic stamp, and it's on a hard block, it doesn't give you the best impression when you just stamp it on a hard surface. So using a little piece of rubber kind of mimics that rubber from the old style rubber stamp. Okay, so we've inked this up. We're going to put it right here. And I'm going to hold it with firm pressure because I want the ink to soak in. Okay, there. And then I just want a little bit of this one. Don't rub your stamp. Just tap it on your ink pad, okay? All right, so we got that one. Let's do this one. There. And then this one, we're going to do on here, right on the side. So I'm going to go ahead and ink that up. And again, I'm just going to hold it with nice firm pressure. There. All right, so now that I have these done, and I'll clean that up in a minute, I'm going to get all this off the desk, and then we're going to laminate these and finish them. I'll be right back. All right, so we're going to take our cold laminating sheet and open it up. And then this little piece here we take off first. Okay? And that exposes the laminate. All right? And then we're going to take these and place them. So I know it's really hard to see the edge there, but we're going to place that right up against there, nice and straight. We have plenty of room on the bottom. We're going to do this one as well, leaving some space between them because we want them to be able to be cut out. Okay, and this one has about 1/4 of an inch at the bottom, so we're okay. Then we're just going to kind of fold that part over to help hold them in place, and then we're going to remove this. Just get started. Okay, just to get it started. Now, of course, if you have a laminator and you want to do this with a hot laminator, you can do that. Okay, and I'm going to pull this over here so we can all see what's going on. I do have space for one more, so we will do one more. Undecorated, right there. All right. And then I'm going to use my ruler to help me with this. And I'm going to put this underneath the laminate, right there. And I'm going to use that to push the laminate down as I go across. Okay. piece over. Okay. Whew. All right, so now I have them all in there, but I have to make sure that they're good and laminated. So where is that little thing? There it is. So I'm just going to use this and make sure that I get these nice and pressed. And I'm going to do both sides. And I'm going to pay attention to in between and right along the edges, because I want that adhesive to really adhere. Okay. Now, obviously, when I cut these out, I'm not going to cut them too close, because if you cut them too close, then the laminate just comes off. We don't want that. All right. So I'm going to cut these out with my scissors first, and then with my cutter. So I'm just going to cut these apart, and when I come back, we'll go and get the cutter, the trimmer, the paper trimmer, and get them more precise, okay? And finish them off. So I'll be back in just a minute. All right, so a couple of things to remember about cold laminate. One, it's only sticky on one side, so you have to be careful when you're trimming this, otherwise this piece is just going to come off. So just put it in there and give yourself just a scant amount. Trim that off. Okay, I'm not leaving a lot on the edge here, just enough. And I'm going to do the same thing on all the sides. And at the top here. And I'm going to probably do this with my scissors. All right, so that's the first one. I'm going to cut the rest of these doing the exact same procedure, using my trimmer, leaving about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And then when I come back, we'll punch the holes and finish them up. I'll be right back. All right, so to finish our pieces off, we're just going to punch holes. Right about there. And about there. Now, if you don't have any cold laminate, there's a couple of things you can get. One is they make a clear shelf paper that you can get at most stores. I sell cold laminate by the yard in my shop. And where else? There's one other. Oh, most craft stores you can also get the clear contact paper. And that is really kind of what you're looking for. It's clear. Some of it is clear, crystal clear, and some of it is like a matte. So you just have to kind of figure out which one you like. So we're going to go ahead and pop the holes and put some eyelets on these. And I'm just using gold ones. You could use antique or whatever it is you like. Depends on your paper, you know. But I'm going to use these gold ones. Now, the cold laminate that I sell in the shop is single-sided. So you basically roll a piece out, and then you put your items down on it, and then you put a piece across the back. Need one more. You could use circle protectors for these if you wanted to. You know, these, if you wanted to add a little something to it, certainly could do that. And now we're just going to dress them up with, you can use all kinds of things. We're going to take a look at some of the stuff. Of course, you can use baker's twine if you want, or you can use some jute. You can use some seam bindings. You can use some seam tapes. You can use some rickrack. Hey, you don't belong over there. Get over here. Talking to my rickrack, right? You could also use some ribbons or lace or whatever it is you want to put at the top. I think we're going to use ribbon today. So I'm going to get out the ribbon and I will be right back. There's no room in the other box, so I have to put it in here. Now, I think that for these, there's really only maybe 3 colors. Burgundy would look okay with this one or this one. The brown is going to look good on any of them. Black, of course, and maybe even this silver. But I have the gold at the top, so let's do burgundy. So I'm just going to pull a piece of this out and we'll work with what we have. So we'll use some burgundy and I think some of the brown. I love this color. All right. Now, if you have long tassels, string tassels, you could use those as well. We're going to go ahead and use this. And this is just organza ribbon. It's the same one that I used to make my ribbon roses. So I'm just going to cut about 6 or 7 inches here. And we're going to thread it through the back up to the front. Now, if you're making this for somebody, then that's where those letters are going to come in. And we'll talk about that. I've got another one over here. We'll go ahead and work that one. So we're just going to put that on there like that. See, just a little top on it. We're going to do that to all 4 of these real quick. And then we're going to talk about using some of those, what do they call them? Thickers? Alphabet letters. We're going to use some of those. Okay? Because if we're going to make this as a gift, let's personalize it, you know? We can do that. Oh. Ooh, that's being difficult. There we go. This, no, I think we want the longer piece. Yes, definitely want the longer piece. We'll put that on this one. There are days that my hands hate me. And then we'll do a brown one on here. All right, we'll put those over there for now. So we'll go ahead and take a look. There's those. And if you want to customize one of these, let's do this one. Let's say I want to make this for a person. Who should we make it for? Now, we'll just put a name on here. It's a good one. Easy name, easy name. Here we go. All right, so we have T. You have to be careful with this now because you know the A, any of the letters that have a center, you're going to have to poke those out. If they want to come out. They may not want to. Get out your icky stickies. Now, I'm not perfectly lining these up. Because I'm not very lined up. If I wanted to line them up perfectly, I would put a piece of low-tack tape on here. And one more. Come on, you can come off of there. I know you can. There you go. So if I wanted to make this specific to somebody, I can use my letters to put letters on there and then decorate it so that this person's bookmark could never be stolen. And then I would laminate this just like the other ones. So that's, that's a use for these stickers, these letters, these alphas that we all get in all different kinds of paper packs and never know what to do with them. And we just kind of toss them. But you can put them on here. All right, guys, that is my little project for today. Just a quick, easy, fast one using some cold laminate. So if you don't have a laminating machine, this is a good way to use some cold laminate and do some laminating stuff. Okay, that's it. That's all I have until I see you again. Remember, if you want to know what's going on with my channel, just check my community tab or my posts or my whatever they're calling it this month. You can certainly subscribe and get notifications. Make sure you ring the bell though, okay? And what else? Check out my Facebook group or go on over to my Ko-Fi, pick up some free digitals, swing by my Patreon and support the channel. It is entirely up to you. Until I see you again, stay well, my friends. Bye-bye.